Seth,
Phil.
you ready to play with the worst decks possible?
I guess so.
I guess so too. For this video, Seth and I took some of the worst cards in Magic, used them to build barely playable decks, and then sent them to each other to see which one is worse. Yeah, also we didn't build decks with only or no lands, because that would be boring. If you want to get your hands on some bad cards, or more likely good cards, get them at cardkingdom.com. And if you want to get your hands on these sweet shirts, get them at mtggoldfishmerch.com. And with that out of the way, alright, let's see who goes first. 4.
Alright, I can beat that.
Yikes.
Ooh, 9. I mean, I guess I'll play first. I actually don't even know if it's right to play first with whatever deck you've given me, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, alright.
These are certainly Magic cards over here.
I'm gonna keep. Yep. I have lands and spells, so I will lead with my my favorite land of all time here. Thank you, Phil. A Necro Blossom Snarl. I don't have a. I'm just gonna play a tap. Let's leave it at that. It makes black and green.
Can it even come into play untapped? I don't know. I'm going to play.
It's theoretically possible.
This one. Dungeon Descent enters the battlefield tapped. Oh, that must mean it's powerful, right? It taps for colorless and for 4 mana, and tap an untapped legendary creature I control. I enter the dungeon, whatever, descend, the dungeon
so
thing.
Bad.
Okay, pass.
Oh, all right. I will untap and draw, and oh god, you know what? Let's get this game going. I'm gonna play a surprisingly not that bad Land of Warways. Probably the best card in my deck here. I'm gonna tap my 2 manas, and I'm gonna play an artifact called Howling Bind. Howling Bind just says, at the beginning of each player's draw step, as long as it's untapped, they get to draw an additional card. So you get an extra card, I get an extra card. I don't know if that's beneficial. With these decks, it might be more cards that you don't want to cast, but good luck. You get extra cards, you can go.
So I'm going to untap, draw, and draw. So I'm in a dilemma here. I do have one of these snarls. Mine enters untapped, but in the most disgusting way possible. White border basics. Yuck. How about I play Morg Squad? It's a 2-mana 3/3, but it also says it gets -1/-1 for each other creature in play. It's not even just 5 creatures. All right. Still a 3/3.
Okay, you might get in some damage before it dies. So I will draw an extra card because of Howling. Oh, goodness. I'm going to play Hashep Oasis, which is a desert land. I will also play an undercosted 3/3. Old Growth Dryad. It is a 1-mana 3/3, even better than your Bog Squadron, but it says when it enters the battlefield, each opponent can search their library for a basic land, put it into play tapped, and then shuffle. So,
Wow, there are some stinkers in this deck. Okay, I guess I just grabbed the next best land. Oh god.
And then I got nothing else, so you can go when.
I'm just gonna draw 2 cards. I'm going to play. Hey, it's something. It's another Snarl.
Wow. Untapped again?
And I'm gonna play a Indentured Djinn for 3 mana. It's a 4/4 flying. Wow. When it enters the battlefield, each other player may draw up to 3 cards. 3 cards.
So you get a 4/4 flyer, and I get an Ancestral Recall. I will take that trade and draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Is it my go?
I mean, I can't attack. It's a 1/1, so
all right.
Go, yeah.
I will untap. We will draw 2 cards because of our untapped Howling Bind. Oh, not that again. Forest is my land for the turn. Really? Okay, well, we're gonna start with this. Another Old Growth Dryad. No. Apparently I'm a Dryad, a Dryad deck over here. I believe that will kill the Mod Squad as well. You get another beautiful basic land. Mod Squad goes, and then, there's a cycle of creatures in Magic that are considered to be perhaps the worst ever made, and that is the Leech cycle. I'm gonna play Andronite Leech. It's a 3-mana 2/2 that can, for 1 black mana, pump itself +1/+1, but it says black spells that I play cost 1 more black mana to cast. So it is like the opposite of ramping, whatever that might be. And yeah, you can go.
Oh, it's funny. The leeches aren't even above curve anymore. They're just straight up bad creatures now.
It's a 3-mana 2/2, and it taxes you.
I'm gonna
It's
draw.
so bad.
I guess I play in another island. Wow, these white balls.
Well, those basics are
Disgusting.
looking good, Phil.
I'm going to play another leech. It's a sapphire leech. Oh wait, so they are named after the medallion? Are they? Sapphire?
No, that one is, but this is Andronite. So I don't know. Yours is, mine isn't.
Okay, so this one is a 2-mana 2/2 flying. Ooh. I'm going to. Let me read this. This is. Okay, I'm going to swing in for 4.
Four it is. I'm down to 16.
Yep, I'm gonna pay 4 mana. This one is still above curve, but oh boy, the downside. Eater of Days. It's a 4 mana, 9/8 flying trample. It says something else, and that is when it enters the battlefield, I skip my next 2 turns. So let's see how bad it can get. Please don't destroy the Eater of Days.
The funny thing is, I can't really attack into that because it's so big. So even though you're just gonna skip some turns, I can't really easily damage you. So I'm gonna untap. I'll draw 2 because of Howling Mind. How do we get out from underneath this? So we have 4 mana at the moment. I'm gonna play a land called Base Camp. It comes into play tapped. It makes colorless mana, except if I want to cast a cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard, or activate an ability of one of them, it can make a mana of any color. I don't think I have any of those in my deck. We'll find out. I feel a little bad, Phil, that you're not doing anything for the next 3 turns. So I'm gonna let you do something during my turn. I'm gonna tap 4 mana, and then I am going to cast. Hunted Wumpus. Hunted Wumpus, 4 mana 6/6 beast, but when it comes into play, each other player can put a creature into play from their hand. Maybe another Eater of Days? Can we get a second Eater of Days?
Not another Eater of Days, but how about a Shinka Gatekeeper? Whenever it is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to me.
Ooh. All right, so maybe not blocking with that one too readily.
Maybe not, yeah.
All right, I'm going to go to my second of 3 turns here, thanks to the Eater Days. So we're going to untap. We're going to draw 2 more cards. Whew, okay, that's... So what is the mana value of Eater Days is 4, right?
Oh no, I think I know.
So this is a little painful, but I think I need to do it. So I'm gonna tap my Necroblossom Snarl in this very sad base camp. I am going to cast Feed the Swarm. I'm gonna target that Eater of Days, so I do lose 4 life, but I also get that big old flyer out of the way. We'll play a land for a turn. And then I am going to play a flyer of my own, Rust Elemental. Rust Elemental, it's a 4/4 flyer, but it says at the beginning of my upkeep, sacrifice an artifact other than Rust Elemental. If I can't, I have to tap it and lose 4 life. So we'll see how this turns out. And I'm gonna go to combat. You have a 2/2 and a 3/2 that if it takes damage, you take damage. I'm gonna swing at you with actually just everything.
Wow, everything's coming in there.
Going aggro.
You don't have mana to pump the leech.
I am tapped out, so I can't pump the leech.
I guess I'll block a leech with the leech and a dryad with the gatekeeper.
Okay, so you'll take 9 and then 3 from your gatekeeper?
Yep. I take 12.
And then I lose the leech in one of the old growth trolls. Well, we will untap. So what are you at now, life total wise?
8.
Do I just win
think
here?
I'm dead.
I think I might just win.
No.
All right, so I'm gonna untap. At the beginning of my upkeep, Rust Elemental says I need to sack an artifact other than Rust Elemental. Sadly, this means I need to sack my Howling Mind. I think that doesn't matter because you're at 8. I'm gonna untap and draw my 1 card for the turn. And then I'm just gonna go to combat and I'm just gonna attack you. You're at 8. I'm just gonna attack you with this old growth triad. We're gonna leave these 2 back.
How rude.
I'm gonna try to kill you in style here.
Wow, I take 3 down to. So, I see. I'm down to 5.
So Phil's down to 5. So check out this card. I am going to tap my Necroblossom Snarl, Llanowar Waste for black mana, and then a swamp. So that's 3 black mana. I'm going to play a card called Kervik Spike. Kervik Spike, 3 mana instant. It says sack all permanents. So all these lands and Wumpus and Rust Elementals are going to go away. And then its next line of text is discard your hand. So I need to discard this handful of wonderful cards. But then the last line of text is a good one. Target player loses 5 life. And that's going to be going to you, Phil. The reverse flawless victory. The reverse flawless victory.
Yes. Wow, who would have thought casting Eater of Days? Kinda risky.
I'm gonna try this. This hand's risky, but I gotta try it.
I'm gonna mulligan.
Oh, my hand seems very good for you.
Oh, that was the plan.
Mulliganing might be the strat in this meta. Then you have one less negative card that could accidentally kill you. Yeah.
Cast all these bad cards. I'm gonna play this disgusting looking island.
All right, we will draw for our turn, and I'm gonna play a forest, and I'm gonna play Aisling Leprechaun. It is a 1-mana 1/1 green fairy. This has all creatures that are blocked or become blocked by it. Let me just read this verbatim because it's got the funny old wording. All creatures that block or become blocked by Leprechaun become green creatures. Use counters to indicate changed creatures. Cost to tap, maintain, or use special abilities if target creature remains entirely unchanged. So essentially, it does nothing except turn the creature green, and it's a 1/1, so it's only probably going to happen once, and you can go.
Half of the text box is just saying it's nothing, because it's just like, no, this thing does not happen.
No, this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen. Use counters so you remember it. It's actually got like Guide of Souls amount of text on it, but none of the text matters.
All right.
It's the original Guide of Souls.
I'm going to pick up this disgusting land and put in this bounce land.
Commander Staple.
Yep, pass the turn.
I will untap and draw. Oh, I was hoping for a land there. Well, I do have a land. Thankfully, you're tapped out. I'm going to play Ristic Cave. You know the power of Ristic Study, where you got to pay the 1 or your opponent draws a card? Ristic Cave is a land version of that. You tap it and you make a mana of any color unless anyone pays 1, and then you get no mana for your land. Thankfully, I don't think you can pay the 1 right now, so I don't even know if this is good for me. I'm going to tap 2 mana, play another very above the curve creature, Tempting Worm. Ooh. It is a 2-mana 5/5, but it says, when it comes into play, each opponent may put any number of artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands into play. So, yeah, you're go.
We drastically speed up this game, but luckily for you,
hopefully there's an Eater of Days in there.
There is an Eater of Days in there. Yes, there's an Eater of Days. We already have seen this card. We have also already seen this Morg Squad, which will die
That's
right
gonna
now.
die about instantly.
It's gonna die right away, but I just want to put in my entire hand. So you've seen this island. You've seen this Sapphire Leech. We have not seen... Wow, there is a legendary creature in my deck, and it is Braid Conjurer Adept. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player may put an artifact, creature, or land from their hand on the battlefield. There's another card. It is Emberwild's Caliph?
Yeah, let's go with that.
4 flying tramper. It attacks each turn if able, and for each 1 damage it successfully deals, I lose 1 life. Okay, have fun in your 3 turns again.
Ooh, all right, we're back to that. Okay, so we untap. Braids triggers at the beginning of my upkeep, right? So before I draw. Well, you just put your entire hand into play, so this seems like maybe a fine time to put a Hunted Wumpus into play for free, thanks to Braids. I think your entire hand's already on the battlefield. So now I will draw for my turn. It is not a land. I would like to make a black mana with my Ristic Cave. How do we feel about that, Phil?
I don't think so.
Good call. All right, well, you know what? We'll just play another Old Growth Dryad. That's the one that lets you rampant growth when it comes into play. And then we will go to turn number 2. At the beginning of our upkeep, we get to put something into play. Oh, this is so risky. We're gonna put Yakora, the Prisoner, into play. It is a 4-mana 5/5 Demon Spirit, but when it leaves play, I have to sacrifice all of my non-ogre creatures, which is currently every creature. And then we will draw for our turn. Oh boy, that card's bad. Still not a land. Yeah, that Eater of Days, you might be getting away with it this time. All right, I'm gonna tap this Ristic Cave for black mana. I assume it works this time. I'm gonna play a Wretched Anurid. It is a 2-mana 3/3, but whenever another creature comes into play, I lose 1 life. It might be a clock on me more than you, but it is a clock. And then we will go to turn number 3. The last one. Will Phil get away with this Eater of Days? So beginning of our upkeep, we get to put a thing into play. Razor Boomerang. Razor Boomerang. 3-mana equipment. Equipped creature has tap it, unattach it, bounce it, Razor Boomerang back to your hand, and it deals 1 damage to target creature or player, and it equips for 2. So essentially, for the low cost of tapping a creature in 5 mana, I can deal 1 damage to something.
Damn.
And then we'll draw for our turn. And we will pay 2 mana. We're going to put this Razor Boomerang on our Leprechaun here. And then I still can't really attack you, so yeah, I mean, go ahead. I think you got away with the Eater of Days.
Yeah, but I can't really swing with it, right? Let's see what I draw. I guess I cast anything I draw, unless it's a land. It's a Shivan Reef.
Oh, you get braids too, right? But you don't have any cards.
Yeah,
in
but
hand.
I'm empty-handed. So I have to attack with this.
Yep.
I guess I'll just try to raise you with these 2.
That makes sense.
So swing in for 6 in the air.
Drop to 14.
Yeah, then I pass.
So I will untap. We'll get a Braids trigger. Man, okay, it is a flyer. We're gonna put this into play. It might kill me. Eben Drake. It is a 3/3 flyer, but it says whenever any player casts a spell, I lose a life. And then this coming into play is gonna trigger my Wretched Anurid because a creature comes into play. So I drop to 13. Boy, how do we do this? Do I have to just swing with everything? All right, I'm gonna draw for my turn. I will play a forest.
At least it's a gorgeous forest.
So I'm gonna go to combat. This probably can't attack, because if that dies, everything else dies. Actually, can I boomerang you to death somehow? That seems very unrealistic. Okay. I will swing with this, and this. So we're gonna leave the Leprechaun back. This is Summoning Sick. That can't die. So a 6/6 Wumpus, a 5/5 Tempting Worm, a 3/3 Old Growth Dryads, and a Wretched Anurid, which is also a 3/3.
I mean, I'm going to block the Wumpus, and then I take 11.
But actually, it's even worse than that, Phil, because I am going to tap my Aisling Leprechaun. I'm going to bounce this Razor Boomerang back to my hand, haha, and ping you for 1.
Okay.
And then I would like to try to tap this Stick Cave for a black mana.
Yeah, no.
All right, so I guess the Boomerang's staying in hand after all. You can go.
All right.
Am I dead? So I have 1
This
blocker.
is Tramper.
Oh. Wait.
Okay,
so
let me see what I draw,
I might be dead.
and then we see. Oh, I drew another Braid, so I'm not gonna cast this. Well, I guess I will cast the Braids actually. Just
actually,
so creature
hilarious.
enters and I cast a spell. Yeah.
I think that actually ends up making it lethal, because I take 1 from the Eben Drake because you cast a spell, another 1 for the Anurid because a creature came into play, so it puts me to 11, and I can only soak up 3 points of damage in the air.
Well, I'm going to swing in the air with 13 trample and 2 just because I can.
So I can block 3 trample, so I take 10, 11, and 12.
Revenge.
Ready?
Game number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I will play first this game. Oh,
Lands and spells.
Oh boy. I will start with probably the best card in my entire deck, this beautiful forest. I'm gonna tap this forest. And I'm gonna play kind of a risky card, a Magus of the Vineyard. So Magus of the Vineyard, it is a 1-mana 1/1 that says at the beginning of each player's pre-combat main phase, they get 2 green mana, and you can go kind of like Howling Mine for mana.
Pre-combat main. So I'm going to draw a card at the beginning of my pre-combat main. I add 2 green. Frostboil Snarl.
Is it gonna be
White
untapped
Water Mountain.
again? It's always untapped.
Yep. Yeah. At least this can get rid of these white border basics. It's a Goblin Firebug. 2 mana 2/2. When it dies, I sacrifice a land, so please don't kill it, I guess.
Oh, if you think that's bad, just wait till you see what I have to play. I'm gonna untap and draw. I'm gonna play a Swamp. I get 2 green mana because of my Magus of the Vineyard, by the way. So I'm going to use my 2 green mana and tap my Swamp, and I'm going to cast a reserve list card, Phyrexian Negator. It is a 3 mana 5/5 trampler. Seems pretty good, except when it's dealt damage, I have to sacrifice a permanent for each 1 damage that's been dealt to it. So it's like reverse Phyrexian Obliterator, essentially. And then I can do even more thanks to this Magus of the Vineyard. I don't even know if I want to read this entire card. Okay, so I'm going to play a card called Cocoon on my Phyrexian Negator. Cocoon is a 1-mana enchantment. It says, tap target creature you control, and then put 3 charge counters on Cocoon. If there are any charge counters on Cocoon, that creature doesn't untap to your untap phase. During your upkeep, remove a counter from it. During the upkeep, after the one in which the last counter was removed, put a +1/+1 counter on the creature, and it gains flying.
How flavorful.
So I will tap down this Phyrexian Negator for 3 turns, and once eventually all these counters are removed from the Cocoon, it becomes a beautiful butterfly. And so we're gonna do that, and then
okay,
that's the turn.
I'm going to untap, draw, add 2. Well, the rule is you can't play nothing, so
you gotta play it.
Yep, I guess I'll play a Ruby. Wait, this is a Ruby Leech. Is the black one the only one that isn't named after the Moxie?
It might be.
It is a 2-mana 2/2 first strike, and red spells cost 1 more to cast. I'm also gonna pick up this Snarl and play a Bounce Land.
Nice.
Well, I could swing in for 2, I guess.
Yeah. No, I will take the 2.
Oh
you
my
got
God,
me.
Sacrificing a land.
Oh,
would be
I wish I could. That'd be so good.
God.
Maybe I'll draw that Feed the Swarm. All right, we will untap and draw. So I will also remove a counter from the Cocoon. And then I get 2 green mana. All right, I'm going to play a Forest. And then I'm going to use these 2 green mana and tap a Swamp and tap a Forest. And I'm going to cast an artifact called Razor Pendulum, which looks like a scene out of the movie Saw, I think. It says, at the beginning of each player's turn, if that player has 5 or less life, it deals 2 damage to him or her. So it does nothing.
Yeah, it does just straight up nothing. Okay.
And then you can go.
All right, untap, draw, 2 green. I can replay the Snarl and re-show the mountain. And I guess I have to play this card. 2 green. Blue, red. Taniwa?
Taniwa.
So it has phasing and trample. At the beginning of your upkeep, all lands you control phase out.
Oh, it's also a legend, Phil, for your dungeon descent.
Wait, if there was mono blue land destruction, imagine playing this as your commander, phasing out with mana rocks, and then Armageddon.
Ooh, that actually sounds sweet. Or just giving it to your opponent, making them phase their lands out.
Yeah, I guess I'll swing in to get you down to 5 life. At some point.
we're getting there. Down to 14. I will get 2 green mana, thanks to my Magus of the Vineyard. I will remove a counter from my Cocoon. We're almost to the flying Phyrexian Negator. We're getting there. We will draw for our turn. Phil. I can't believe you put this card in my deck. I'm gonna play, not this card, although this card's pretty bad. Forsaken City. It's a land that doesn't untap during your untap step. But at the beginning of your upkeep, you can remove a card from your hand to untap it, and it makes a mana of any color. And then I am going to, oh, this is so bad. I'm going to spend my 2 green mana for Magus of the Vineyard. I am going to painfully tap this Forsaken City. I'm going to tap this Swamp. And I'm going to cast Wood Elemental. Wood Elemental. It's a 4-mana star. And it says the stars in the lower right-hand corner are set to the number of untapped forests you sacrifice when it's brought into play. So I will sacrifice my 2 untapped forests. And that'll mean Wood Elemental. Well, it'll be a 2/2. It'll be a 4-mana 2/2 that made me sacrifice literally half of my mana base.
Wow, what a rate.
And you can go.
All right, so remind ourselves what phasing does before I start my turn. It says phasing. This phases in or out before you untap during each of your untap steps.
So your lands will stay. Next turn it'll phase in and it'll be there and your lands will phase out. So one turn you'll have Taniwa, the next turn you'll have your lands.
Okay, so I guess I'll phase this out in post somehow. And I guess I get a turn with my lands, and then I get a turn with my Taniwa. I'm gonna draw 2 green. Yeah, well, this can't go wrong, right? This is not gonna go too wrong. It cost one more, so for 5 mana, I'll cast Brewer Heavyweights. It's a 4 mana 8/8 trample. When they enter the battlefield, each opponent may search their library for a creature card and put it into play.
Ooh.
How bad can that be? Is it better than an 8/8 trample?
Okay, I do not know if I have a creature that's better than an 8/8 trample in my deck. We're gonna find out shortly. Well, I mean, I guess I'm just gonna get my biggest, baddest creature, which is not an 8/8, but I'm gonna get an Abyssal Persecutor. It's a 6/6 flying trampler that says, I can't win the game, and you can't lose the game.
All right, and then it's your turn.
All right, so I will untap. We will remove a counter from our cocoon. So next turn, it's finally happening. We'll get 2 green mana because of the Magus of the Vineyard. We will draw for our turn. We will untap the swamp, but not this Forsaken City, sadly. Well, 1, 2, 3 mana. Boy, Wood Elemental is pretty brutal. Sacking half your mana base is rough. Speaking of mana bases, the only thing I can really do this turn is help you with yours by playing our old friend Old Growth Dryad. So next turn your lands are gonna be phased out. Can I attack you? You're gonna have a 7/7 trample and an 8/8 trample? Okay, I definitely cannot attack you with my Persecutor. That's gonna have to stay on defense. So that I'm gonna mana burn that green mana, I guess, and pass the turn.
All right, so at the beginning of my upkeep, my lands phase out, and then I draw. Then I add 2 green. This is kind of bad. This is not the land drop I needed here. I'm going to play a Rainbow Veil. It taps to add 1 mana of any color, but then control of Rainbow Veil passes to opponent at end of turn. It's very clunky wording, so I can tap it for a blue, but then it goes to you. So I'm going to spend 1 of the greens, the other one fizzles. I'm gonna play a Sapphire Leech because my spells are way too cheap. I'm going to swing in with the big boys.
So I need to make sure I don't get below 5, because if I do, this Razor Pendulum is going to swing my life away. I will block Abyssal Persecutor and Old Growth Trolls in front of the Heavyweights. So a 6/6 and a 3/3, and then I'll take the Taniwa damage.
Yeah, I think I got to get rid of the... Nah, I'm gonna get rid of the Old Growth Dryad. Maybe you draw something that kills you.
All right.
So you take 7.
Persecutor lives. I take 7, so I drop to 7.
So, yeah, at the end of turn, you want this Rainbow Veil?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I will, let's see, untap. Finally, the metamorphosis is complete. So we waited 4 turns. Now we get a +1/+1 counter on our Phyrexian Negator, and it gets flying forever for some reason. And then we have to sacrifice our cocoon.
It's a butterfly.
It's a butterfly, the cutest, horrific butterfly I've ever seen. We'll get 2 green mana from the Magus of the Vineyard. We also will have this Rainbow Veil. Oh man, I don't think I can untap the Forsaken City's rough. So we'll draw for our turn. Okay, that's a magic card, sort of. All right, so I am going to. I got to do this pre-combat. That's actually rough. 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna be giving you back this Rainbow Veil on your end step. 4.
Sweet.
I'm gonna play a Hunted Wumpus. It's a 6/6. When it comes into play, you can put a creature from your hand into play.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's Endangered Djinn, so you can draw up to 3 cards. Don't need to draw 3 if you don't want to.
I'll go with 3, I think. After much deliberation, we will draw 3. Do I just have to stay on defense? That seems so bad. How many cards do you have in hand?
2.
Yeah, I guess I just have to pass, and then at the end of my turn, I'm gonna hand you back this beautiful Rainbow Veil.
All right, so before I untap, this phases out. Then my lands face in, And
They're
untap.
back.
Let's see if I can get you down to 5 somehow.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about that.
This is a land. This does not help too much. For 4 mana, because it costs 1 more. Chaos Warp targeting the Phyrexian Negator. So the owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they put it on the battlefield.
I waited 4 turns for that, Phil. 4 turns in the cocoon. 4 turns. All right.
You can get it back.
Maybe I'll just spin right into
It's
it.
not gonna be a butterfly.
Here
though.
we go. That means I only have 1 flyer, which is kind of not good. Top card. What do we got? What do we got? Boom. Oh god.
yes.
Wretched Anurid. Whenever another creature comes into play, you lose 1 life. Wait, do I have to put it into... What does Chaos Warp say? Does it say you may?
If it's a permanent, they put it on the battlefield.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's coming into play.
So I could swing you down to 5. And yeah, I guess that's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna swing in with the flyers for 6.
So I will I'll block the 4/4 with the Persecutor and take the 2 down to 5.
And then
Oh
I'll
boy. Razor
pass.
Pendulum's gonna trigger at the end of my turn, so I don't take any damage yet. So we're gonna untap this Forsaken City this turn. I'm gonna exile Ifnir Deadlands. Then we'll untap for our turn, and then we will draw for our turn. And then we will get 2 green mana thanks to the Magus of the Vineyard. So we need to somehow race, and I don't know how I can do it. So next turn you get Tannywog in, right? But you won't have any lands. I'm gonna drop to 3 from the Pendulum. And if I play things, I take damage to the Anurid. Oh, which is also bad. All right, so I'm gonna play a Forest as my land for the turn. I'm gonna use 1 of my green mana. I mean, you gotta play your cards. Those are the rules. Easling Leprechaun is back to turn things green. And also hit me for a damage thanks to my Wretched Anurid. And then 1, 2, 3, and 4. Rust Elemental.
Oh.
4/4 flyer, beating me up, keep second artifact, or tap it and lose 4. That's another one, so I drop to 3. The good news is, it does mean that I can sack this Razor Pendulum eventually. Bad news is, I don't know if I get to that eventually of my next upkeep here. I'm gonna swing at you with the Wumpus.
Yeah, I take 6.
End step, I will take 2 from the Pendulum down to 1. And you can go.
Okay, so before my untap step, this phases back in, and then I untap. But then, in my upkeep, all my lands phase out.
Oh, Tannywog.
I guess you get away with it for another turn, because even if I draw a creature, I can't cast it.
It all comes down to this.
Pass.
So I'm going to untap. I will exile Basecamp from my hand to untap the Forsaken City. Then there's going to be a Rust Elemental trigger. So I'm going to sacrifice, I have to sacrifice this Razor Pendulum. So now I'm going to draw for my turn. I believe there is 1 card in my deck that could maybe let me steal this game. I think there's a single card. I think what I need is Kervik Spite.
But it costs 3 black.
That is a problem, isn't it? Oh. All right, so maybe it doesn't matter if it's Kervik Spite, but I'm gonna go to combat, and I am going to, I mean, I just gotta push with everything, right? Is there any reason not? I'm gonna swing with everything, because I think I'm just
so
dead
too,
no
yeah.
matter what, yeah.
Block the Wood Elemental with the Ruby Leash.
Yeah, thanks,
And
a lot of lands.
The Wumpus with the Taniwa and the Magus of the Vineyards.
Leprechaun?
With the
Oh, we gotta turn it green?
Firebug. Yep, and the Sapphire Leech turns into a green Sapphire Leech.
Haha, we did it.
Yes, I'm going to use a counter to represent it being green.
So you're gonna take 13?
Yep, down to 1.
Except there's still an Abyssal Persecutor. All my stuff's
Yep.
gonna die.
Wow, it's 1/1.
Yeah.
Too bad. If any creature enters the battlefield, you take 1.
Yeah.
And I can attack.
Yeah.
Well, alright, this phases out, lands face in, untap. And this is... Oh my god, the worst creature ever won the game.
But it's actually gonna be lethal.
Wait, so this costs 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rainbow Veil.
Wow,
for
exactly
Exactsies.
enough mana.
Sapphire Spirit, made to teach new players that bad cards exist. But this time, I guess it was lethal. It is a 6 mana, 0/6. When it blocks, return it to its owner's hand. And when it enters the battlefield, Seth dies.
I die, my wretched Anurid, down to 0.
Wow.
Well, those were some bad decks.